The indictment filed against Combs is very elaborate, but in short, it's basically running a sex trafficking ring and violently and keeping victims quiet about it and pressing them into the ring as well. And it is, I mean, certainly that document is one of the most explosives that I've ever seen filed against a defendant in a criminal court.
Why has he been denied bail and prosecutors are arguing to keep him there until the trial?
I mean, he has a lot of resources, though I don't think it would be easy for him to go anywhere and kind of blend in. I mean, certainly he could. He has the means, has the probably the support still of some allies, and the money to get to a place where it would be difficult to extradite him. It is not unusual for the federal government to detain people until their trial that are accused of serious federal crimes. And I would say, every day, people that probably you and I have never heard of do end up being detained until their trial. In It's the positive news, such as it were, if you're in that situation, is that the federal government doesn't always take as long as some of these state courthouses, but certainly in the United States, you hear stories of people waiting months, if not years, for their trial.
So, Ramon, when is the trial expected to take place and how big will it be in terms of length of time and also the attention that it's going to draw?
There's going to be a fair bit of of preliminary kind of legal wrangling around the trial. I'd expect the defense to attack the indictment. I'd expect some preliminary things. So it's difficult to say exactly when it would be, and it is going to be, I imagine, one of the most covered trials. I think the allegations at the heart of the indictment, when you look at the so-called freak-offs that he had, and the insane attention to detail attributed to him as far as procuring everything from drugs to lubricant to baby oil, and then that those like so-called freak-offs that, I mean, keep in mind that some people allegedly were forced into participating, and that people who were participating were recorded participating in them without their consent, were so intense that they required intravenous fluids for its participants, including Combs himself, allegedly, to recover. I mean, those are details that obviously are shock the conscience. And then keep in mind that at this stage, prosecutors don't need to tip their hand, right? So this is the very tip of the iceberg that's in that document, and the fact that they're comfortable enough to kind of put that out there shows, I think, is an indication, as an outsider, that there's quite a bit in reserve that they're ready to present should it go to trial. Keep in mind the possibility too that certainly everyone in Combs's position explores. Does it make sense for me to plead guilty and maybe get not as harsh of a punishment as I would get going to trial and losing? So this all could be resolved in a guilty plea or some sort of plea. That said, that type of arrangement often requires a summary of, like, an admission, a written admission that's signed and under oath, and all of that would be detailed, and would probably shed a lot more light than what the indictment did.
And if it does go to trial, who is expected to testify, do you think?
I mean, there's some hints certainly in the indictment of, it's pretty clear that, I mean, I think in the fourth paragraph of the indictment, if you read it, it's a pretty clear reference to singer Cassie Ventura, right? And she was the woman who kind of the precipitated his downfall by filing a civil lawsuit last year alleging violence and sexual abuse. Combs settled that in a day, which is unusually rapid, and a clear sign that he was concerned that if many more of those details became public, it would be bad for him. Many more people have come forward. His legal problems have only metastasized from there. Obviously, they don't name her, but it's a pretty clear indication that her allegations are at the heart of the indictment. To a similar point, there is in the indictment, you mention you see mentioned a car being blown up, right? That Combs and his associates blew up someone's car. We've certainly seen the rapper Kid Cudi talk about how after he briefly dated Cassie, Combs threatened to blow up his car, and then a short time later, his car blew up in his driveway. And certainly, it should not surprise anyone if he ends up taking the stand and describing that sequence of events. From there, I mean, it's difficult. I think that there are hints in there. Obviously, look, I mean, Combs is accused of threatening witnesses, of threatening violence against witnesses to keep them quiet. So I would expect that that the federal government is going to protect and not reveal until the very last minute who is going to testify, given that.
And just finally, how do the cases, this case and also the other cases that he has faced, impact the music industry and the legacy that Combs leaves behind? What has been the public reaction?
I mean, he's a pariah, right? I mean, he went from a three-time Emmy winner, dating some of the most famous women, to obviously a pariah. I think that you could sort of see that this is the way it was going to go the moment that video showing him beating Cassie Ventura and manhandling her in a hotel hallway in 2016 became public in May. That felt like it was the beginning as far as like his career went. And no, I mean, I think it is safe to say I've certainly seen the label pariah or something to that effect labeled. These are, I mean, he faces life in prison. So if and so there is no guilty plea that can easily be I'm sorry, there is no plea deal that can easily be reached that's going to lower that maximum substantially. So that's what you're looking at.
Ramon Vagos, really interesting to talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much.